Do you want to start with My Hero? Because we well, I know someone that's 10 times more than that. Just accept it, dude. Why do you gotta make it a competition?
And we're back for another episode of the podcast. We're in the final week of the 2022. A roller coaster every year for some people, me included. We are here with the man himself to talk about two episodes of Dragon Prince, along with an episode of My Hero Academia. And My Hero will be taking a break after. Well, they're taking a break right now. So the next podcast we do will not include My Hero, which is totally fine. For that 1 week. Anything else? By the time you're listening to this, I actually forgot to upload three podcast episodes to Anchor. So this is really nothing. This really isn't for the audience. Well, this is for the audience. It's not really for Spear. I'm in the process of actually downloading them right this minute. I hope that this doesn't interfere with anything. So far, we're doing fine.
Is our one view from Brazil still coming through?
I haven't really been checking Anchor for these past few weeks, which is why I completely forgot, about. I mean, I'm here right now.
You're not Brazilian.
2% Brazil, but I don't know who is for Santa Catarina.
What do you like Elizabeth Warren now? 2% Native American.
No, I'm just giving you the metrics that are given.
I think it might be racist to say that you're Brazilian because you're 2% Brazilian.
I never said it was Brazil. I just give you the metrics that Anchor is giving me that I haven't been checking in months. Well, I guess it actually is months because we didn't do a podcast.
I don't think like your ethnicity changes over a few months, unless you're like Michael Jackson.
I want to watch what you say about that guy because there are some people that take offense to that. I'm not one of them. I'm just saying that I'd rather just let this man rest.
Michael Jackson is one of the probably 3 or 4 greatest musicians in U.S. history.
Okay, you cover yourself there.
No. I'm thinking if I had to think of the most iconic. This is not a statement of This is not a statement of talent necessarily, but of iconic iconicalism, I would say that like Michael Jackson, Elvis, Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe. No, yeah, maybe I don't know, Madonna. But like Madonna doesn't make it up to those three, does she? Sinatra, Elvis, and Michael Jackson. Like who would stand among that group from music history?
I mean, what are you ranking criteria for?
What are the just iconic, like people that are like
I mean, I say put Michael Jackson and Elvis in a ring.
hmm?
I say put Michael Jackson and Elvis in a ring.
Put them in a ring?
Yes, put them in a boxing ring and see what comes out.
Um I mean, I don't know, honestly. I feel like Sinatra would have a few pounds on Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson would be a little bit scrappier.
I'm saying you can't touch if you can't hit him if he's dodging every place, you know, or moonwalking everywhere.
And Prince is pretty high up there. And Jimi Hendrix. Johnny Cash is probably up there a little bit. Kurt Cobain is up there. And who's the country singer that everybody likes?
You're asking the wrong person.
No, I'm not. It's like along with Betty Davis. I'm sorry, not long.
No, you're asking the wrong person. I'm not a music buff. I know
See,
names of
but
some
that's the
people, but
point. Like,
I don't know a lot of music names.
that's the point of being iconic, though, is that you should know them, even if you're not really familiar with them. Like, I don't know Sinatra's music, but I know he's a big deal. You know, like I just know that.
I'm so far removed that I couldn't tell you whose music is in what genre. At times I feel like I know, but I definitely don't. I don't know. So it's like that. That's how far removed I am. I couldn't even tell you like who did what. So you tell me country
Dolly
music,
Parton.
I'm not gonna know because I'm not familiar with country music
You've
singers.
probably heard of Dolly Parton, my guy.
Who?
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, I'm aware of the name.
That's what I mean. Like she's iconic. Like that's the name I was trying to think of. I'm just bad with names sometimes. The internet usually sets aside Betty White and Dolly Parton as like the two celebrities that nobody will ever be able to touch. Like that nobody will. They're like the two purest celebrities. Are usually considered Betty White and Dolly Parton. Betty White just died, so Dolly Parton is like considered the most unflawed celebrity, most celebrated living celebrity, I think, for the internet. Dolly Parton does incredible. Like she just asked to be removed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame candidacy because she's like, I don't play rock and roll, so I shouldn't be on it. And then she was kind of like included anyway.
Mm-hmm. I just looked her up. And one of the things I saw apparently was asking her about why she dresses a certain way. Apparently, she doesn't like her elbows and she does not like her hands.
That's what she said.
That's apparently what they're saying. She said. Versus like she said, Ms. Matter style. She doesn't like her elbows. So it's Steve Todian style. He asks what's wrong with her hands. She's 73 and she doesn't like them. 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 That was said apparently 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. She's a pretty big deal. She leads a lot of charities. When she does speak out, it's always like for a really positive reason. Um, she's a big deal.
I mean, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that like I can't talk up music. Probably you can more than I can, but I really can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I don't listen to music. That was actually my response a couple years ago. So I don't, but that's not true. I do listen to music, even if it is just like music from anime or something like that, or the occasional actual music from somebody in this world.
Right.
I have in fact listened. I I could probably talk to you more about a video game or a anime series than I could probably talk to you about music. That's probably sad to admit, but it's how I live my life.
That's all right. I don't see why you're like obliged to do anything.
I'm just more explaining. I don't know why I'm explaining, but I'm choosing to explain. Okay, with that, to answer your question, I mean, apparently there's 2% Brazil listening, but I don't know like the exact number because they're not even giving me. They're only giving me a percentage. So far, it looks like we have a German audience and a United States audience. Apparently, we have a 3% Japanese audience. This is probably attributed to My Hero. The problem is apparently, I guess 3% isn't enough to come up with a graph, which is weird because I think there's a graph for Canada and they're 2%. So I guess they can't tell where they're coming from, so they must be listening somehow, but it's not in a state or a prefecture, I should say. Probably got some French listeners too, but there's no data on them.
The French, probably because of my name. We want to hear him. He is one of us.
Probably got some listeners from in Seattle, Washington.
Seattle's a pretty cool place.
Okay, on with the show. We will. I wanted to end on My Hero, but I guess we could talk about My Hero first and then work our way through. We done Dragon Prince first a couple of times. The biggest, I guess, tidbit of what the heck. Sorry, I just went over to Discord. I don't know why I did so. Just not noticing those gifts. Okay, I guess the biggest bit of information that we can discuss is not only that the war has, I guess, finished. In the middle of the war, we got explanation towards those, like there was some words that they say like he got a sense for something. We had now got confirmation. Apparently, he just woke up the fourth user's quirk called Danger Sense.
Spider Sense, you said?
Danger Sense. We're not calling it Spice Sense.
Sense?
No, we're not calling it Spice Sense. It's Danger Sense.
Well,
I don't
he's
completely.
he's becoming Spider-Man.
But he's not Spider-Man.
Well, let's see. He can web sling.
That's not a web sling. He isn't. He doesn't
And
like. He doesn't.
He has enhanced strength. He can web sling, and he now is able to use Spidey sense.
You're doing this to mock me because of the Deadpool thing
No,
several weeks
what
ago. What
abilities does he have that Spider-Man can't and doesn't have an equivalent to?
Deku cannot shoot web. He doesn't exactly web sling. I'm more call those like dark binds is what I would call those things. I don't even know what the closest power in the Marvel Universe or even DC that even be equivalent to. Deku can't exactly shoot web. Things are literally attached to his body, and they don't come out of his wrist.
Yeah, so it's not exactly like copyrighted. Like he doesn't wear a Spidey suit, but like, what can Deku do that Spider-Man can't do?
Break his limbs on command.
Exactly.
He can float. Spider-Man can't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Why can he float though? I forget why. Why is he able to float?
The eighth user's quirk. Wait.
Oh, okay.
No, the eighth user is All Might. Seventh user.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, that was just revealed, right? That he could float. Well, that's a big deal.
No, that wasn't really just revealed. I guess kind of.
Not like a long time ago, right?
I mean, I guess before the war started, yes, it was revealed then.
You make it sound like it's 1942 or something.
It might as well be, based on how much blood has been spilled. I'm gonna look up Danger
Did you just
Sense.
make a Normandy reference?
No, wait, what?
That sounded like a Normandy reference.
But the phrase based on how much blood was spilled?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a Normandy reference.
Normandy, not a number.
I said Normandy.
Yeah.
Let me just look up Danger Sense real quick. I want to get a vague, because I didn't completely understand why it was hurting Deku's head. Because that's something Spider-Man doesn't have. It doesn't hurt his head.
Well, that's because he's not adapted to it. It's not always going to hurt his head.
So, question about Spidey sense. Exactly, is it just triggered just from like anything getting thrown at him? Is how that works?
Spider-Man has Spidey sense, which seems to be only occasionally useful, where he's like, my Spidey sense is going wild, and then like something dangerous happens.
I mean, what exactly those threats? What exactly are those threats that usually trigger it? When it's used,
anything that's a threat. Like it could be somebody like socially malevolent. Sometimes it's very often, because it's a comic book, it's physically dangerous, but it can be other more existential dangers that set off Spidey sense, depending on the version of Spider-Man that you're watching. The 90s cartoon Spider-Man, it seemed mostly disabling, because he'd be like, my Spidey sense, and then like because his Spidey sense was going off, he wasn't ready to get hit. So he'd be like, oh no, my Spidey sense, and then something would hit him in the back of the head. He'd be like, there's danger, thunk, But
well, I'm just trying to. I mean, according to the wiki here, at least Danger Sense. This is no way around it, but I guess it is similar to Spidey Sense. I mean, it just says here, Quirk is able to sense one's intent and their negative emotions against human enemies. Danger Sense is triggered by their intentions of threat and malice. It doesn't seem to mention it just being used for him to dodge things. Granted, he hasn't been using it to dodge things. He's been mostly using it to help the plot as a plot device.
Yeah,
because it's been going off every time Shigaraki's around. There's a weakness list here apparently. According to Izuku's quirk, takes a large toll on the user's body depending on the threat it senses. Oh, they're saying, although this might be a result of it being strengthened by One for All. That is true. That would, I mean, everything in One for All has been strengthened by tenfold by this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what I'm reading here, rest I can't exactly say, so I'm not gonna say. Apparently, there are weaknesses for this thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wish you wouldn't read the wiki about it.
I didn't see anything that wasn't already kind of aware of, because thanks, Google.
I want to talk about the fun stuff.
It's not my fault Google knows I watch this stuff and literally decides to regurgitate some stuff. Because I'm aware of Arc. I don't know what's involved in it, but I'm aware of small things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's coming out. I could be wrong. Based on the events that are happening here, it makes me question when it's gonna happen.
I'm more sure than ever that Spinner is eventually going to betray Shigaraki.
No, I don't think so.
I think so. He still didn't do anything in this fight, really, except wake him up. He's still kind of innocent.
I don't know if he's really innocent.
They went to his backstory and reminded us that he's only there because of Stain and things like that. I think he's going to turn.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know if he's truly innocent, really. He hasn't done anything. You can't dispute, but he's had more chances than anybody to leave, and he hasn't. And he's always talking about how like empty he feels.
Right now, this is the only solution he sees to his emptiness. He's stuck between this and going back and eating ramen and watching TV again. But I think if he found something he thought was a worthy cause, I think he could.
I don't think he wants to be a hero. If he is being spurred on by Stain's words, I don't think he believes in heroes. So what else? I mean,
right. But what better person to convince him that heroes still exist except a character like Midoriya, who's like.
I don't think that's how that's gonna work. I think Stain is set in his ways.
Even Stain changed his mind.
I'm not Stain, but I think Stinger. Is that his name? Or
Stain had really originally said that only All Might was worthy, and then after fighting Midoriya, he started having second thoughts about that. If he can change Stain's mind a little bit, he could change Spinner.
Yeah, Spinner's the one. I don't know. I don't think. I'm not convinced that he wants to change sides. I'm not convinced that he's like, conflicted in any way. He seemed to be more conflicted when he was with them about like what they were doing, where they were going, and stuff like that. What Shigaraki's ultimate goal was. He seemed to be okay with Shigaraki destroying things. That's not something you can just like change your mind on if that's what your goal is. He wants the world to change because of the prejudice that's in it. Shigaraki just wants to destroy things. That's not really like agreeing with his worldview. Even like Compressed Man.
He inspired him though. Stain inspired him to be where he is today, and Midoriya could inspire him to find a better path.
I don't think that Midoriya's was going to affect him that way, though. I mean, he's done it before, but I don't know. Like, Spinner doesn't strike me as the guy that I feel like he's just there. He's just there, because he hasn't really done much of anything. He's just fallen in the group. I couldn't imagine him being that helpful to the heroes. I mean, they probably just put him in jail.
They haven't They haven't done anything to Stain to make him unredeemable though. Like everything Stain has had has been um, on the sidelines. Even this episode, like what did Stain do other than wake up
I mean, Stain's not
Shigaraki?
here.
I'm sorry, what did Spinner do this episode except wake up Shigaraki?
He also had that confrontation with the heroes where he fought back.
Where?
It was like much earlier. I think it's actually like much earlier during this confrontation.
Did he defend himself or fight back? Did he hurt anybody?
I don't really remember.
Is there a scene where he actually takes a shot at someone? Or is he just like have his sword out and he's running around the building with everybody?
I feel there was a confrontation and they cut away from him when he was dealing with them. But like that was about it.
I don't know. I think he's very poised to be a character that turns to the side of good.
I don't know.
Especially
I don't think
now
he has.
because Shigaraki's lost in a sense. Like, All for One is kind of taking him over right now. We don't know how that's going to turn out, but there's definitely a power struggle between the two. Shigaraki's like motivations aren't even clear right now. Like as an external character, internally we know who Shigaraki is, but he's sharing his psyche right now with something.
No, I get all that, but I find it really hard. I don't really have any concrete evidence to support this feeling, and I don't even know where this feeling's even coming from. First of all, but like, I watched Spinner this entire time, and if you told me he was going to change sides a long time ago, I would have believed you. But I don't know. Even with this episode, where like we saw a little bit of what he was doing with the League of Villains, like I don't know. It just to me, him as a person who's from the boonies, who essentially is content at the time with just living a life of eating ramen and watching TV. Like a person who has no motivation just doesn't change. Like they gotta find that motivation within themselves. They can't exactly find that motivation outside. And I believe he believes he's found that motivation through Shigaraki. He'll probably just return to where he probably came from. Either that or die. I just don't think Deku has that kind of Deku has that kind of power to change people. He's changed even really hard-headed people like Bakugo for the better of themselves. But it's like I think for whatever reason, I just think for whatever reasons, Spinner, like represents somebody who's neither good nor evil, who doesn't have a will of their own. Well, I mean, that doesn't really have
So he's Gigantomachina now.
I guess in the sense that he can't like get to him, yes, but it just I don't know. Like I mean, he doesn't seem. It just something about Spinner does not strike me as hey, join the good side. We give you something to do. I was like, I don't know. He's already been stated that when he was growing up, he was already bullied because of the way he looked. They even bring that back up in the flashback too, with like the society apparently hating people who have their quirks make them look different. How that you can convince somebody with that much disdain for everything to join the side of the people, join the heroes, and protect the people that looked at you wrong. Like that would take some real and I don't even think Deku could know what that's like.
What if you look at it from a writer's perspective? Increasingly, the path of the storyline has been to take a more sympathetic look at the main characters on the League of Villains side. So we've learned a lot about Twice, and he's become a much more empathetic character. We learned a lot about Compression Man this time, and his dreams to be a Robin Hood character. We've had a little bit more. What is the female who steals blood and takes her identity? What is her name?
Toga.
Toga. Togi. Togi. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a more empathetic view of her, but we've seen her like love twice. We've seen her show loyalty to her team and emotional investment in them. We saw that she called. I'm so bad with names. The Gravity hero, the love interest from Midoriya.
Uraraka?
Thank you. We saw her like step away from a fight just to have it, like to lure Uraraka into a conversation, have it with her. We've seen a lot of like the empathetic, more like she's a little rough around the edges. Like it's hard to make her as redeemable as the others. But
I think she's redeemable. I mean, her only issue is, I guess it's kind of the same thing with Spinner, is that she doesn't have the problem that he does, where he just looks like a monster.
She's been more personally involved in the bad things that have been happening now than Spinner. Spinner's been on the sidelines, and she's been more like directly, like actively fighting the heroes, doing bad things. More in a like, this is like my workaround way to get to know people kind of way. Like she's just sort of nuts, but like it is there still. And I think it's more difficult. I'm not saying she's unredeemable. I think it's more challenging to redeem a character like her, who's done so much, even though she's gotten more personally like acquainted with the others, than it is Spinner, who's been on the sidelines just sort of witnessing everything. More like a Horatio character, if you're familiar with Hamlet. So I don't know. But the storyline, the point I'm making is that we're seeing a more empathetic side to all the characters anyway, like I said, with who we've seen so far. So I think that the direction we could be heading with this is, direction we could be heading with this, because even at the very end of this episode, Midoriya says, as Shigaraki was kind of getting taken over, he gave me a look like he wanted me to rescue him. You're still
I still find that hard to believe. I know what you're talking about,
but the writing is still heading in that direction. Whether or not it's believable, the writing put that in there, and it's another sign of the trend of the writing to try to get us to be more empathetic to the villains, and to put moments in there where you start questioning the evil of pretty much everybody but All For One, who's more of a symbol than anything, just like All Might was often more of a symbol than a hero in a lot of ways. So given that trend, I think Shigaraki is obviously extraordinarily difficult to redeem. I mean, he might have a moment at the end where he has like a Darth Vader and looks back and regrets what he did, but it seems very far away from what's going to happen right now, and it would take an incredible amount of plot development in multiple seasons to get that story through. But Spinner's not so far away from that. And if we're trying to pick out a villain that is extremely primed to be the next example of what's going on here, and take it a step further, it would be Spinner, because all the other characters have had very empathetic moments, and so far we've pretty much only gotten like a gist of Spinner. Like we got a spot of him with his hair down eating food in front of a TV, and I think vague references to his past. But now the plot arc is over, and we're left with many heroes on both sides and many villains on both sides being dead. We've lost twice. We've lost. It looks like Giganto Machina will likely be captured because he's going to remain docile. We've got Compressor Man, like probably going to die, at least left behind and captured at this point. So it just doesn't seem like it seems like one of the logical next steps would likely be Spinner kind of starting to come around.
Okay, here's my counter to all that. I understand what you're talking about. I don't know. I prefer him to stay over there, and this is just my I guess my vibe. I understand the whole writing thing and the whole empathy of it gets to be empathetic towards characters, I definitely felt sucker to a lot of that with a lot of these characters, even on the villain side. But here's the thing. Even though that little bit of like, wavering that we saw Spinner have at the end of the episode, that was just more on the whole he doesn't know who he's talking to, and he's well aware that he's not talking to Shigaraki. He's already
Well, we've also heard how he feels empty inside. Like he's been working with the League of Villains, and he still feels empty inside. This is still not fulfilling to him. Like there's still.
I feel like he can get there though with them though, because he, as far as I can tell, he views everybody.
He has nowhere to go.
He has.
If he was introduced with a way to go where he might be able to change the world, which is his real, like the real impact he wants to make.
Yeah,
if he's given the opportunity to change the world in a way that doesn't make him continue to feel empty inside, then maybe he would take it.
But no, what I'm saying is, even with that whole emptiness, I feel like he's already. We've seen this group of people referred to, even Compressor said, each of these people have referred to this group as close friends. Now,
or more, but
keeping that what?
Or more, yeah.
This person has some connection with somebody in this group, and I feel like
and
maybe
who did Shigaraki leave behind as he headed out?
That wasn't Shigaraki that left those people behind. And again, what I'm trying to actually fight for is, okay, if we believe that maybe Shigaraki has been, for whatever reason, I guess him realizing that his master has been trying to take over his body this entire time, which is what it looks like he's trying to do here. With this realizing, and if we're to believe that Deku did see a plead for help in the last few moments that he was seeing Shigaraki in that infinite world thing, and we know Spinner knows that he's not speaking to Shigaraki, I feel like maybe he has some loyalty to Shigaraki and not the guy controlling him. To me, that feels like I think he still has he still feels some kinship. The possibility that whole emptiness feeling will probably disappear, and I feel like it'll probably disappear as he's dying. Well, actually, not as he's dying, before he dies.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe what will happen, he'll fight for the group. He'll fight for the group, essentially, that he's joined willingly.
If Spinner's main motivation here is that he considers them his friends, who of his friends is he with at this point?
Shigaraki.
Who is not Shigaraki at this time?
Yeah, but One for All claimed, like, I feel like there's a way for him to, I guess, break his friend free, which has basically been his little mini arc kind of here, is him, apparently people realizing that he can get through to him, which is even weirder. But I'm guessing, like, based on his interaction, we saw that it's something, they have some kind of kinship. I'm not sure what it is.
The only one he has left right now is Dabi, who's in his scarf, and who could easily become a rival to Shigaraki in the coming days, because I wouldn't consider the hacker guy his friend. So I would say that of his friends left, Shigaraki has been taken over for the future that we know so far. Like for the time that up to this point in the story, Shigaraki is not himself. So the only one he has is Dabi, who is like this little ball. I don't know how they get him out of that. Like, does it pop out after time? Does it like if Compressor dies, does he stay in it forever? Like he seems like he knew what he was doing when he gave it to him and knew he was going to die. But I don't. And Dabi seems like he had a pretty strong idea of what was going to happen. But like, what actually happens to Dabi in that little ball? But like, that's it. All that he knows. And I don't even know if Spinner knew for sure that was in his scarf, or if Compressor Man just threw it in there. I can't remember exactly how they express it, but Spinner may not even at this time know that he's carrying those two. I can't remember if they like expressly say that or not in the story.
No, I don't think they do. I think he placed it in there secretly.
So yeah, I mean, Spinner's with Dabi without knowing it, and then that pretty much wraps it up for him.
Well, Toga's still out there. We don't know where she is. She's supposed to be heading towards them. And he specifically also asked Toga to be safe and come back.
Yeah, but he also knows that they've left Toga behind right now, too. Toga's not going to know where they're going because they don't want the heroes to know where they're going.
Well, I want to say is with all this information and him knowing that he's not talking to Shigaraki, he doesn't think Shigaraki abandoned anybody. Whatever, for all he knows, is that somebody has taken over Shigaraki's body and is not letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's told him that Shigaraki's body is in a state of repair right now.
Right. I'm just saying that like Shigaraki doesn't have as much to cling to right now as otherwise, because he was probably least close with Dabi, who would come in and put them down, and didn't really stick with the group, and said that they were all like said that everyone he came across wasn't worthy, and he ended up killing them. I don't think he like. I think if Dabi tried to kill Spinner, he'd probably work pretty quick, and I think that Spinner is not super close with him. So if he's not close with Dabi, Shigaraki's not there. I mean, if anything, he might feel motivated right now since Shigaraki can't really do anything for Shigaraki. Dabi's not going to really give a shit. He might even feel motivated to leave the group and look for Toga if he feels like she's out there on her own. He doesn't really fit in. Like Dabi and Shigaraki are both way too big for him, I think. He's not like powerful like they are.
I don't think he would abandon a friend if he considers them a friend.
I don't think he's abandoning them. I think he thinks they've got their stuff figured out right now. Let's go figure out if Toga's okay. He can't do anything to help Shigaraki.
That's true. I'm not saying that against that. I was just saying the whole him switching sides thing. I just don't.
Yeah, but
I mean, even motivation aside, I don't know if he would do that. Because like the heroes haven't been showing him any real love. On top of that, I'm pretty sure he's probably thinking that there's some heroes in there who don't like the way he looks. Part of his motivation for wanting to change the world is that people are biased against him. And I guess racist, if you want to be realistic about it, that people are racist against him. Or for one reason or another, because of the way he looks. The villains took him in without questioning anything. Nobody,
yeah.
I mean, you could make an argument that Deku didn't, but at the same time, I don't think I remember Deku even interacting with him. Even exclaiming how cool his quirk was, because I'm pretty sure that would have been one thing that he probably would have said, but I don't think Deku even interacted with him in that way. If he did I don't think he ever interacted with him.
In which way? I'm sorry.
No, I don't think he's ever interacted with Deku. If the whole idea is that Deku can change people, and he's done that, I don't think Deku's ever interacted with Spinner.
But he's watched him. Like Spinner's been a witness to everything that Deku's been doing.
Yeah, well, most people's changing were because they interacted with him.
They've shared a lot of screen. What I'm saying is they've shared a lot of screen time. Like Deku, Spinner's been there. Like when Deku came running through in the bunny fight when he was like beat up and he was saving like one finger for something or whatever. He saw Deku like running through. Like from that point forward, if not earlier, Spinner has been there watching Deku do heroic thing after heroic thing, while we've been drawn more empathetically towards the other villains, and the plot line has been heading in that direction, and we've one by one previewed the past of every character in depth except for Spinner, and maybe Toga, and now lo and behold, Toga and Spinner are the two left that haven't been severely wounded or taken out right now, other than Dabi, who's probably needs to heal and recover a little bit himself. And like the storyline for the villains doesn't have a lot to happen in the next couple episodes, except if it involves Spinner and Toga, or if they do time skip way forward and like everybody's mostly healed now. But we're very much in an aftermath, and the two villains standing were those two and the Nomus that like didn't get destroyed. So yeah, I think because what was left? Was there a single villain left other than Nomu and those two? And maybe who's left in like the layer? Like I think Destro probably gets out. The hacker character gets out, but like who of the bigger characters is left? Like on their feet. Destro at least needs a new leg.
I mean, I don't know. I'm still not really convinced that he would just stay in size based on the world around him. They would have to be, even with watching Deku, that's only one person. You know, like it's not like anybody else is like, I guess he's viewed as a hero. He deserves to live.
Yeah.
or he views like Stains only recognizes Deku at this point in All Might. I don't think he's. I think he's also recognized Ida, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Um, and I think Icy Hot. I think.
Ida's such a bug to be swatted though. Like Ida gets he makes a I won't say he gets bodied. He makes a contribution, but he doesn't hold together as long as
I mean, all I really say, I know you believe that he'll change. I find it difficult with the world that they live in and the world that Spinner came from, and the world that Spinner kind of makes reference to twice, in the flashback of like a portion of why he's the way he is. Like you don't. I mean, Deku is kind-hearted and everything like that, and I know he doesn't view him that way, but like to me, if you have somebody who's been embroiled and the world does not like the way I look, why would I join the side that is out there to protect them? If my view is to change the world and have them, now granted that you can have the look, I mean you can have the outlook that maybe his outlook will change to say, okay, maybe I can join the side and have people change. Because I mean, even with that whole idea, you can finally get some idea that he won't change because the world is racist. But there are heroes that do probably look the way he does, or worse or less. I guess Froppy is an example that she looks human. She could pass, but she definitely has frog-like appendages. She's lanky. Her tongue's very long. She's pretty much like a frog. If it wasn't for the fact that her skin was pale, if she was green, she'd probably be having the same issues that he would. Thankfully, she looks the most human.
Family is much more frog-like than she is. She's actually one of the less frog-like characters, isn't she?
What happened?
Froppy's family, aren't they most of them more frog-like than her?
No, I think they are just frogs. Or they look, they're
right.
they look more like frogs. I'm just saying that, like,
I mean, they're like anthropomorphic at least. They're not just straight up only frogs, but yeah, most of them are more frog-like than her.
No, I'm just making the argument. I'm just trying to make the argument against like him staying on that side because the world's racist. Because I'm pretty sure there are heroes
the Animos guy too, who has he's basically a conehead, right? The animal guy.
What?
The animal guy is basically a conehead, right?
I don't know what he is. I mean, there are cases on the hero side that can make the argument that he could switch sides regardless of the whole racism thing.
But do you know what a conehead is?
I remember what they look like. I think they're aliens.
So here's Anna Voice.
Now I know who Anna Voice is. I'm just saying I don't know if he can, because Conan's only had one spike. I don't think he's a conehead.
Coda has one spike. Look at the picture. And this is a conehead.
I think if you turn Coda to the side, his that spike doesn't stick straight up.
That spike is exactly from the internet. Like I didn't draw that.
What I'm saying, if you turn Coda to the side, I think that spike doesn't stick straight up like a conehead. And aren't coneheads human? I don't think Coda's an alien. I mean, aren't coneheads? I don't think Coda's an alien.
I'm just talking about the design. It's very
no. What I'm just saying, it's like.
Very.
I mean, it looks like that spike is like jutting forward. I mean, I know he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't look human. You're
getting very distracted, though. The real point I'm making is that he doesn't look like a regular person either. Like nobody on the hero side really cares if you look like a hero or not.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just the heroes, like the people you're protecting. Those people. And that's partially what's Spinner's deal is that he grew up being berated.
But here's a group that would also accept him, that he might be influenced into, right? He's a follower of so far, all of his life so far. You're right in the Gigantomachina sense that his entire life he's been a follower or nothing. But there's like in My Hero Academia, they've already explored like a lot of this with some of the characters that are in there. That like the one with the mind control power, for example, that like um, Shinzo, he has a mind control power, and he was always thought that he should have to end up being a villain because of his power, because it's much more villain like than good like.
Yeah, but I
And
mean, those
Todoroki
two
had
were
kind
totally on the totally two ends of the spectrum, though. He was just being like berated because of his power. I mean, I guess technically speaking, it's his power too, because he just looks that way because of his power. But
the stories, what I'm saying is the story has explored things like this quite a bit, like the bird guy. Like we have a lot of like Spinner has seen a lot of examples on the hero side that you can be accepted and celebrated no matter what you look like, um, probably more easily than the League of Villains would. Um, that they failed the takeover attempt, and that other characters on the good guys side did have like their moments with darkness, like the mouse that is the president of the academy, or Shinzo, like, or some of the other characters that like have a dark side to them that they've explored. You know what I mean? Or his close series of interactions with Hawks lately. Like I think the lines of him having to pick one or the other side, and he's picking that side up because of the way he's defined himself, I think they're becoming more blurry for him.
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't really made friends with anybody, not one person on the good side though. I don't even think he was really friends with Hawks. I mean, at the time when Hawks was on their side, he was just like being a rat. I don't even think did he ever talk to Hawks? I don't remember. I don't remember him ever talking to Hawks.
Talk to who?
You brought up Hawks.
There's no way he wasn't acquainted with Hawks though.
I don't remember him talking to him though.
No, I don't remember him talking to him either. I don't remember him talking to any of the heroes.
I guess my point is, I just don't. I mean, he has friends on the villain side. He doesn't have anybody that he could call a friend. I mean, I guess the closest person would be Deku. But at the same time, he hasn't really had that much one-on-one with him. I just don't see a conversion being made easy for him, even if he is just a follower. Because he does have his own thoughts and feelings about everything. He wants to fight for a cause. So far, he's found the cause with them.
Right,
whatever
but
the
he's
cause
seen
was.
a pretty good cause on the other side.
I don't know if he's seen a good cause, because if that was the case, I feel like we would have had more moments when we've been with him where we had read his thoughts about what he thought about them. So far, the only thought we definitely know of is that he agrees with Stain.
Let's hit some of the rest of the episode. I think we're officially going in circles.
No, I'm just like, this is literally, I really don't personally. I mean, unless I see more of what they're going to do with him, I don't personally see a switch happening with him.
Okay, but I think we both know where we stand. So Compressor Man is, despite all the conversation we've been having for an hour, like Compressor Man is the star of this episode in a lot of ways, because he has his death scene. He breaks his arm off.
I don't think he's dead.
Frees everybody. What?
I don't think he's dead.
Well, he definitely goes down. We'll say that much.
But yeah, he bleeds a lot.
They comment several times that it's a fatal wound that he's inflicted on himself. The episode's called Final Performance. He thinks he's probably dead. He might live. He's certainly lived through some pretty big hits in the past, but he's not in good shape, and he's missing chunks of his body even more than he was at the beginning of the episode. So he might not be dead, but he's hurting hard, and he's probably captured. There's no one like except Toga that would come back to rescue him, and there's not much left of him at that point. And it's not like Toga can carry him. So, or I don't know, she might have some healing ability of some sort because of all her blood skills, but that's about it. It's gonna be rough for him, right?
I feel like, okay, his ability, I agree, but at the same time, his ability, he's able to compress things into a small ball, carry it with him, and then I guess no, because when he did it
Once
to
you
his
know, like
body,
reattach the chunk of his body, like
yeah,
I think
I just thought about that. I don't think that's how that works. So never mind. I thought
no.
maybe I don't know how his ability works though, because it says
Honestly, if
touch.
he was going to reattach it, wouldn't he have just reattached it once he got out of the ropes? I really don't think that's the case here.
Yeah, I guess he is dead.
There's a pretty good chance. I mean, like I said again, the episode's called Final Performance, and it's
Yeah,
we
but
don't
when
have
he
a
lost
lot
his
of
arm, you thought he was gone, but he wasn't.
we don't have a lot of reasons to think that he might make it through this, but it's an anime and it's a lighthearted anime in many instances, so maybe he will. But
Lighthearted.
I don't.
What
There's
lighthearted anime have you seen where there's been blood?
I'm sorry. There's kindness in this episode in this series about killing main characters. Sometimes, let me put it that way.
And sorry, I'm just getting your chain. Jacob Pressman managed to get everybody free. He set everybody up on a path to get out, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah, he gave himself up, but again, he saw himself as like sort of an anti-hero more than a villain. Like he thought he was like a Robin Hood like character when he grew up, and he wanted to go down nobly. And I don't know, there was like a lot of gray area added to his character in this episode. He's nowhere near redeemed in my opinion, but like you do see that nobility of like giving himself up for a greater cause, even though the greater cause is pretty misguided. So yeah, they gave him a little something extra in this episode in that sense, right?
Yeah, I also want to point out that did you ever think he was like an old man at all? I feel like you said something.
I thought he was definitely on the older side.
When he took that mask off,
he
looked way younger than you expected, right?
Yeah, that broke the fourth wall for me a little bit because I'm pretty convinced that he was.
I mean, you had convinced me. Like, you had convinced me until I saw his face. I was like, oh wait, he looks like he's in his 30s.
Like they were youngsters and stuff like that. And maybe 30s is young for this type of profession, but I don't know.
Like he could be like late 20s. I mean, I don't know how old is this guy? Maybe there's some place where his age is put. I'll go look it up so you don't have to actually spoil anything. Slam. That's not what I want. Okay. Atsuhiro. Oh, is he? Oh, I was right before. He's like in his 30s. That was a guess. Okay. Apparently, he's 31 in his first appearance, but he's 32 at this point.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, a little tiny of subtle character development that you might not have noticed, but around 7:30, 7 minutes and 30 seconds in, if you're watching Crunchyroll, I think he actually sheds a tear when he has his mask on, because you see a pool of like moisture drop off the pointed part of his mask. Like he's been crying and it like floods and like drips off of his mask a couple times. I think that's interesting.
I guess like Compress is like, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I guess Compress is like, I mean, I don't think he saw himself as an anti-hero. I think he just saw himself as somebody trying to.
Oh God, I didn't even notice this, but like he's literally pouring buckets at 7:53, so I was just stupid and missed it.
I think he was crying as he was like helping his friends. I guess it's only too like this group of not even vigilantes, they're just villains, but this group of people who set out to change the world is a big underlying phrase that they're using. Each one of them have their own view of what they're doing is right. Nobody in this group, they've all taken the name villain, but some of them don't really do villainous things almost for the sake of villainous things. They almost seem to do it to further a cause that they've apparently told Shigaraki at some point that we've never seen. And Shigaraki's okay, that you're okay to do that as long as you don't get in my way type of situation. Because sometimes people, I don't even think, like, to me, it's like Spinner seemed like the last person you would allow to, if you were a villain mastermind, Spinner would be the last person you take on, and then Compress. I feel like you only use Compress and then get rid of him the moment that like you lost usefulness for him.
Well, Compressor is at least smarter than
But it was not. It was
other
not even that. I mean,
characters.
just like I feel like he's only really based on everything we just saw of him. He wanted to, change the placement of wealth in this society. Is what I got from his little backstory with his grandfather, great grandfather. That's a whole can that I don't want to get into. It seems like at least what he looked up to his great grandfather, that he wanted to just displace the wealth and, like, I guess maybe make it fair amongst everybody. I'm not sure what his goal is now, but I'm pretty sure that changed. And it seems like here he's just trying to help his friends, but it just seems like, at the beginning it seemed like that was what his goal kind of was, but then it changed as he got to know these people. Because, I mean, he makes it very clear that he really enjoyed hanging out with them as he was doing these things to help save them. And even, I guess, as you said, he is smart. I'm not saying he isn't. He made observations about, like, how, Spinner is the one person that is able to wake up Shigaraki, which is even a weirder observation for him to make. But he seems to hold Spinner in a higher regard than I think Spinner even holds himself. That's kind of part of the reason I don't see Spinner leaving. I feel like he really wants to hang on to his friendships here because these people, were the first people to accept him. But back to Compress, man. I don't know, his whole placement in the group just seems really odd to me with this revelation here. I honestly just thought he was just out there being evil and hanging out with Shigaraki because they were able to do things together and get away with it. But it seems like it's kind of been more of a, as the title is Final Performance, it seems like he's more of a magician kind of, is the best way to, because some of the things he said kind of relied heavily on sleight of hand, how I distracted you as I made sure to put Dabi and everybody into Spinner's scarf, let Spinner Shigaraki out, and make sure I'm the center of all the attention. His whole placement, placement in the group just seems really weird to me. Is basically what I was getting at.
Giving up his life to be a distraction.
I guess I'm agreeing with that. I guess everybody in this group has really, their backstory is really linked to being empathetic, but like a lot of these backstories and their motivations don't line up to me as being a villain. So far, the only person's motivation that I've known of is Shigaraki. He just wants to destroy things. That to me seems like just a straight up villain motivation, but then again, who am I to say whose motivation is villainous or not? But
yeah,
the surface, I'm just like, that doesn't seem like a villain type of role. Compress seems more anti-hero, and he does die. I will go on record here that I am kind of sad because I've actually enjoyed watching him, and it wasn't just now this episode. I kind of enjoyed watching him throughout. I think it was like probably after he came back after the arm thing. I was like, huh, he's back. Okay, so that means they're doing something with him later.
Who's back? I'm sorry. Who's back? I'm sorry. We're watching some footage of something.
I will say I was going on record that I actually enjoyed watching Compress, man. And it was like, it wasn't like just this episode. It was like a few episodes back when he first came back, and I was like, I was shocked.
He was back, and that was cool.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, oh wow, so they're gonna do something with him later on. So I was like, okay. I kept my eye on him, and as I was keeping my eye on him, I was enjoying him being in the show. It was like, it's kind of like how Twice was. Like, I enjoyed seeing what they were doing. To me, it just seemed like they're a group of people who all who came from different walks of life and who really enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a crazy group of misfit friends. Yeah, it was just kind of, here's Dabi, who's been most everywhere, and Shoto, Shigaraki, that funky square. I
mean, I guess encapsulate this entire episode is like, well, not encapsulate the entirety of it.
I'm sorry, I was singing such an old song.
Yeah, I wasn't
That
catching
was
on to it
like,
at all. I decided to move on. Oh boy.
sorry. Okay.
No, it's not you. I wasn't catching on at all, so I just like, you know what? I'm not to like keep the gag going. Uh, they all get away. Well, not all of them.
It
Compressed
was
Man's
the
on the
Patty Beach
ground
show.
with a piece of his leg and his
From
some of his body
the Patty
missing.
Beach show stopped in 1966.
Jesus,
Go ahead.
that's an
I'm
old
sorry.
song. Um, hmm.
It was 1963 to 1966. I grew up watching Nick at Night, which was like they would show old shows from the 50s and 60s and stuff. You can keep going.
No, my train of thought just kind of stopped. Shoot. Oh, so the entire episode, well, the entire episode just ends with everybody getting away, except for Compressed Man, whose leg is his thigh is missing. Most of the skin on his torso is missing.
Probably chunks of his body too. Yet he can walk. Have you ever injured yourself? Like when I was in karate once, I like injured my arm. I was doing a tumble, and a little kid walked in front of me, and so I didn't kill the little kid basically because he was like 4. Like I threw my tumble off and I landed hard on my shoulder, and I'm like partially like I think I partially dislocated my shoulder or something. The next morning I woke up and I was like 17 or 18. And I got out of the shower, my shoulder was really hurting, and I told myself no matter what, I was going to pick up my towel off the floor, getting out of the shower. And I reached down and I was like, I'm going to do it if it kills me. I want to show myself I can do it. And I could not lift the towel. Like if I tried really hard, I could mostly lift my arm, but my arm plus the towel was too much. I could not lift it. And here is like that guy, like it's so like comic exaggeration because like the dude like doesn't have a butt muscle. He literally worked his butt off for this. And like he's got, by the way, as a side note, he has a little pill somewhere that contains his butt in it. And if Dobby's like coming out of his pill sometime, his butt's coming out of that pill sometimes. So there's going to be some point where when he's alive or dead or something, that pill is going to wear off and turn into a butt laying on the battlefield. But that being said, like he shouldn't be able to move. This show is such BS sometimes about people's ability to continue to perform when injured.
You don't believe in the human's supernatural ability to just do certain things under stress?
Like Best Jeanist is trying so hard that his eyes are bleeding and blood is spurting out of his mouth and nose, and like which would imply like extraordinary like strain to his body to the point of deep internal bleeding and like it coming into like either up his stomach or through his windpipes and spurting out of his mouth like kind
I
of
mean, he
blood.
wasn't like coming into this fight at full power. I mean, they've already stated that he should probably have waited.
That doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that it's pretty extraordinary, like the things that people are physically capable of in this.
I mean,
and then I got so mad when he like one-shotted, like when Lemillion just gets one-shotted, and I'm like, what the hell? Like we don't even see it. We just see some glowy thing, and like Lemillion gets knocked off the battlefield and taken out in one shot, and I'm like,
that was
strong as like
we've seen that blast though, and I think according to One for All, he called it a radio wave, and apparently it summoned the Nomus to come for them, which was even weirder.
But when Lemillion's laying there, he looks like fairly okay.
Yeah, all
like
it was to push him away.
I mean, right, and he's just gone. Everybody else is like getting up 18 times. Lemillion gets like knocked down and he's gone, and that's it. And then Deku like wakes up and like he's only got like his mouth working, and he's still able to get up and chase them.
I guess we can end off on that note. Deku's ragdoll body. That I don't even know what to say about that. I sat there watching that and I was in total disbelief because like Deku's body is gonna need an entire workup. Like he's gonna need like the hand of God. He's gonna need the hand of God to like fix whatever he's done to his body there.
Yeah, Arrow's gonna heal him.
I don't know. It just like Eri had took a long time for her to learn how to just get a quirk back. I don't even know how easy it would be for her to rewind his damn. And if her horn does shrink based on how much power she uses, there's no
She's
telling how
going to be
much
able to
energy it's
heal
going to
like
take to rewind his body to its pristine state.
she's going to be able to heal like one or two people, and I think it's going to be Eraserhead and Midoriya who have the most obvious bodily injuries at the end of this that can't be healed naturally. But and it could be somebody else. But if I was this group, I would heal Midoriya and give Eraserhead his foot back, his leg back. Nobody else was as badly damaged as Midoriya or literally lost a limb.
I mean,
So
you
if
can
she
make an
has
argument
power
that
to
like
heal,
Endeavor was
if she's
brutally
power to heal
beaten.
one person, it's probably going to be Eraserhead and who she's closer with and who's like a leader in the group, and then Midoriya like could wait because he's not going to die. You know what I mean? Until later on. But if she heals two people, I think it's those two. I don't think there's anybody else that is as bad off as those two, except maybe Midnight. Got Midnight got hit pretty hard.
I'm not gonna really talk about Midnight because again, internet. When I was looking up something she said, moving on. Deku doing his whole heroic flying thing was ridiculous, but it was kind of funny. Though I will say when he definitely does say that like Shigaraki looked like he was asking for help. I don't know. I mean, I only say I don't know is because it's like Shigaraki's been this guy who's just been trying to destroy the world because of how unfair it treated him when he was a little kid asking for help. And no hero reached out to him, but All for One was there. I guess with that logic, being All for One was there to help him. I guess now with him realizing that All for One was just trying to get his body. It sounds dirty. Trying to get his body to, I guess, possess him. Because it sounds like All for One is saying that the more Shigaraki's will gets stronger, the more he's able to take over. I don't know. I don't know. I think I misread that, but it sounded like something about Shigaraki getting stronger. It was giving All for One more control over his body.
Yeah, I think the willpower thing, like the more stronger his will is, the stronger. It sounds like his will increases proportionately, or possibly more than proportionately with the will of his holder, which would, I imagine, would be one of the reasons he picked this guy as his successor, right? Because he, it sounds now like more like he's pulling a Palpatine, where he's going to like eventually try to take this guy over and have him become All for One and more than a
You
successor
you
in a
you
way.
you said that
When
now. I have to just say this now because you just said it. Unlimited power.
he was pulling a little like I'm talking Palpatine from the crap Disney episode when they do the last of them, episode 9, and Palpatine. Like, did you watch episode 9?
Yeah, and I didn't think it was bad. I mean, for me, for the most part, anything
It
people
wasn't
say that's
bad. It was
bad,
awful.
I don't think it was
I will
awful.
I will argue with you until midnight about that. I don't know if that's why you want to spend your time.
No,
It
I'm
was
just saying I don't I enjoy. All I'm gonna say, just broad strokes. You say it's bad. I usually enjoy things people well awful. I enjoy things usually that people say it's awful because they colored my sun colored
how can you
glasses.
not live with the plot hole of a talking motorcycle but enjoy episode 9?
Moving on.
For God's sake, my man.
I am an enigma. That's what I was saying. You may have said that it was awful. I actually enjoy what I watched. Did I enjoy Palpatine coming back? No, I didn't. But at the same time, it was like,
I was here for it when I heard Palpatine was coming back. I was like, all right, let's see what he does, because there was like hints in the Legends continuity and
do
stuff
we
like
want
that.
to do we want to include this in this or do we?
I'm sorry.
No, it's not that. It's just like I feel like we get on this Star Wars tangent. We're not gonna come off of it.
Have you ever seen the YouTuber Mauler?
No, I don't think I've ever heard of him.
He has something like a 2.5 hour to 4 hour something like that rant specifically just about episode 9. called like An Unbridled Rage, and it's such a thoughtfully constructed destruction of every part of the movie, and in like a hilariously bitter, like, and very very insightful like attack on the movie. And like I recommend you watch it sometime if you have like
I'm gonna respectfully decline.
need for something to podcast for yourself. Like when you're done listening to our podcast over and over again and you need some other type of podcast, like you could perhaps like play it in the background while you're like doing something. Like I don't know what you do. What do you do? Like
Again, I'm gonna respectfully decline. I
what do you
mean,
do with your
it's not like I don't want to, like, I guess, watch somebody or listen to somebody rage about something, but it's like I don't
He
like.
calls it an unbridled rage, but it's more like a bitter, like an incredibly insightful critique and then a rage. I think
If he
you
did
just
that
have
about
the
Dragon Ball
rage.
Evolution, I'd probably be there for that because I hate that movie with an unbridled passion. But like, I don't know, like it's like I don't really have that much opinion of Episode 9. I enjoyed when I watched it that one time with 6, so it was just like I don't really care enough about it to want to watch somebody tear apart a movie that I'm pretty sure they're very passionate about the series. So
What
it's like,
makes me really mad is it's like one of the top 5 best-selling movies of all time too, or something like that. Like those movies sold like wildfire, and like other really bad movies sold incredibly well too. Like some of the Hobbit movies, not the Lord of the Rings, which is incredible, but like the Hobbit movies, like in my opinion, were like disasters and killed the franchise. And like they killed the franchise when like was it Amazon took over the next part like step of the Hobbit franchise. Um, like what's the best thing Amazon's ever released? Like, do you give a crap about any Amazon originals at all? They had one that I liked, which was The Tick, and that was it.
I didn't think the Tick was an Amazon original because I remember the Tick, but they showed up on national
They
television.
do a second live action series on Amazon, and it's way better than the first, in my opinion. Like they rebooted The Tick basically in live action.
Oh.
It's really enjoyable, and that's probably, and I think they did Dirk Gently too, and that was okay. But anyway, you know that you're in bad straits, like as a franchise, when you go from some of the best-selling movies of all time to Amazon original in one trilogy.
I mean, I don't know. The only thing I'm mad about, I guess, before we move on to Star Wars and move on to Dragon Prince, the only thing I was mad about.
I have a question remaining that's pretty big about My Hero before we move on. But like,
I know, I just want to say the one thing I want to say. The only thing I was mad about with the trilogy series, the new 3 movies, was that what they did. Well, what they didn't do with Finn, they were setting him up for something, and then they completely erased it. I don't know what they were doing or what they were intending to do, but they completely cut him. Even the actor has come out with words saying that he didn't enjoy what they did with that character. That's about it. That's the only thing I was actually kind of upset because he wasn't even included in the 3rd movie. No, he was there. I didn't understand what he was. Yeah, whatever. I'm not getting into that. But
Well, I think what happened. The first movie came out, and people started fan theorying that he and Poe had a gay relationship building. So they wanted to make absolutely sure that nobody thought they were gay. So they do a romantic like side quest story with him all the way through the next episode that leads to nothing as far as the plot importance goes. And then once they finished establishing that he wasn't gay, then they just sort of drop both characters, and you never see either of them do anything significant again.
actually, one last thing before we get to the end of the year.
Force Awakens is the number 4 best-selling movie of all time, after like movie titans like Avatar, Avengers Endgame, and Titanic. It makes me so mad. The Force Awakens. Well, The Force Awakens was unbelievably advertised, but The Last Jedi, like the 3rd one, Episode 3, was number 16. And it makes me really mad. Rise of Skywalker. Oh, The Rise of Skywalker was the 3rd one, right?
Yeah.
And that was 34. So you can see like the descent of the series number 4, and then number 16, and then number like what 34. I said. So you can see like the franchise just plummeting for a little while, and then Solo I don't think makes the list of top 50.
There's something the Star Wars property that Disney has touched that I actually legitimately really do enjoy, and sixes enjoy too. Andor.
Rogue One was 38, and that was actually not a bad story. What?
Andor. Actually, Andor is really good. A lot of people don't like it, but Andor is actually really good.
Star Wars now?
Huh?
What they should have done in the other, they're starting to figure out Star Wars now. Like they're actually starting to get it now. The Mandalorian was really good too. And honestly, I'm enjoying all of them. But like this TV series, the Disney Plus stuff, I've been enjoying all of it pretty much, with very few exceptions. Andor was not too bad. It had artistic merit, but it was like it had room for improvement, but it had artistic merit. I really, really, really enjoyed The Mandalorian. I don't know if you saw that one.
No, I saw it. I watched both seasons. I don't. I'm more kind of weirded out. I'm trying to figure what they're going to do with Grogu. I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like they just might just be a mascot at this point.
Toys. That's what they were trying to do with Grogu. But it's not outside. What they were trying to do with Grogu was sell toys. But it's not really that outside of Star Wars' history, if you think about it, because they have all sorts of things that they made to sell toys, like Ewoks, you know. And I understand that.
Didn't Ewoks doom the series?
What?
Did Ewoks doom the series? I felt like there was a movie when there was nothing but Ewoks for a good hour or so, and people hated the movie for it.
Well, I mean, they deliberately pick things throughout Star Wars to merchandise. Like that's just the way it is. The pod race in Episode 1, things like that. Like they deliberately pick things that they're going to merchandise in every Star Wars episode. So I wasn't so offended. Do you know what I mean by the obvious merchandising point of Yoda, Baby Yoda? Except it was extremely merchandisable, like, and a little more central to the plot than their previous merchandising attempts, except for maybe Jar Jar, which also failed. Jar Jar I straight up found offensive. Jar Jar I felt was like there was a lot of characters in Episode 1 of Star Wars that felt loosely racist, and like the Anakin's master felt like maybe they were being loosely racist around Jewish people, and Jar Jar felt to me like they might have been loosely racist to black people from like say 1930 or something like that. The racist stereotype of them being in suspenders, and the fact that he immediately becomes their humble servant and is like a very like Uncle Tom like character in some ways at the beginning. It just I was straight up offended with what they did with him at first. And they sort of like even the setting was where he's living in a swamp near a civilized area could feel like the Mississippi River kind of and stuff like that. Like he just felt really offensive to me. And there were other characters too, like the ones in space that were working with Palpatine. What were they called? You know, those guys that were like mostly politicians. They were like basically Padme's diplomatic rivals. Felt like they were sort of like.
You mean the accountants?
No, not the accounting division. They were more like. Hang on. One of the famous lines he says in that one is, "No need to report that until we have something to report." I'm going to look that line up and see who said it. And then that'll probably tell me the race. So that was Newt Gunray and Rune Hako. And they felt to me like they were Nemoidian. That's probably why I don't remember. That sounds fairly obscure. They felt like a little bit like they felt a little stereotypically Asian, if you want me to be completely honest. but in more of a feudalism kind of way. And I just didn't like it. I felt like there were a lot of people like dancing on stereotypes that bugged me a little bit. So yeah, I had that feeling of that episode in a lot of ways. So I had my reluctances about episode 1, I guess, and I forgot where I was going with that because I got so distracted at making that point. But nothing like the later Star Wars that Disney made. But then they started figuring it out, and I wish they'd played around with the ideas a little bit and built up with some series and things like that so they could experiment and get things wrong and right before they launched right into 3 disastrous and poorly organized movies and sunk the movie part of the franchise. And now I feel like they're successfully rebuilding with Disney Plus stuff. And I don't know. I don't know how they brute forced their all 3 movies into the top 50 of all time, but they did. And it's almost like the golden age of movies are done now because, like, I feel like COVID has really crippled the momentum of movies and brought everybody over to digital and online services and things like that. I don't know if movies will ever have, like, they're going to try with Avatar. And that'll probably be the big testing ground to see if movies have the potential they once did. What do you think?
I mean, I haven't been in a theater for like 2 years. So, the last movie I saw in theaters, I remember this because it was on my birthday. Well, around my birthday, but the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. So that was like
Really?
the ending of the movie era before COVID ran its foot everywhere. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like this still can. I feel like movies can still handle it. The only real issue is going to be the people, if they want to be around people. Because I'm still trying to fight. Um, I'm fighting my judgment of like I want to see this movie in theaters, but I don't want to be around people. And the biggest issue with that is like COVID. It really was COVID wasn't as infectious as it was. Like you could take a higher riskier chance of getting it. So for me, it's like it's affecting my judgment for enjoying something I want to enjoy in a theater. I'm not that biggest theater buff before all this, so it wasn't like I need to see it. So the fact they're offering these movies online is like, and I can watch these and I can be safe and I don't have to wear a mask while watching it. Just nearly suffocating myself. I'm all for it. Now a lot of people say that takes it takes the experience out of it. It's like, yeah, but did you really need that experience before? I
Yeah.
mean, theaters.
The last one I saw was Miss Marvel. And after I watched Infinity War, and then I watched Captain Marvel in the theaters, and that was towards the end of its run, so it was probably like early May, 2019 or something like that, and I don't know, something like that, and then that was it, and then COVID really, like, after early May, I think is when it really hit the fan, and then that was it, and then yeah.
Okay, to re-rail
And
us.
then I haven't seen one since.
To re-rail us, you say you had something profound to say about My Hero, and then we're going to end off there.
No,
I guess try to see if we can't get.
I wouldn't go so far as to say profound, but it's kind of a two-parter. One, why did they not finish off the heroes laying around and kidnap Deku to take his quirk? And because they won, everybody worth fight that had any fight in them pretty much was down for good. And I know that probably the heroes that were attacking the main area and probably some other miscellaneous reinforcements were on their way from the heroes. Like, the heroes still had some people up and fighting, like Uraraka, for example. And Froppy was 100% fresh. Like, she got through this unscathed because she's just that good. Like, Froppy didn't take a freaking hit, man. She was, like, fresh. She was fresh as, like, a spring peeper, man. And, like, I guess maybe he ran because he knew Froppy might come. But if we eliminate that, like, why would he, like, not wipe them out? Like, it looked like he had the ability to take, like, one shot and take out Deku. So like, why did he not like? I don't know, just like knock out Endeavor, for example, on the way out. Like, why wouldn't he do that? Or leave one of his Nomu behind to just slaughter everybody while the rest retreated. I think one or two Nomus from that group of the better ones probably could have taken the heroes out with
One for all for one couldn't take one for dang it. All for one could not take one for all because for whatever reason, one for all rejected being taken. It was a very weird situation there. Whatever.
He tried to the psychic battle thing. Yeah,
he tried taking it, and apparently, this is actually one thing I wanted to say is that this is specifically these were the words of the first user of that quirk. He said, "We're sticking with Deku," and I remember that being very rarely stated because on top of that, it wasn't even just that he said it. All for One repeated it as a question. He was like, "You're choosing him?" So it honestly just trying to look at those phrasing, to me it sounds like it won't leave Deku. I could be wrong.
So why not either kill him or kidnap him and see if you can wear it down? Like, why would you do neither of those things given a position that, like I said,
well, All for One took over Shigaraki's body, and Shigaraki's body was already kind of ground beef.
Again, why not send one or two Nomus back from the approximately 11 they had to go finish off heroes one after the other? I think two Nomus.
Well, we've seen some of those heroes taking out some of Master Driller died taking out that not Cthulhu, whatever the heck that Earthworm was.
In the current battleground, everybody was pretty much down. I think two Nomus would have been enough to at least kill a few of the most prominent heroes on the field. They might have taken out Eraserhead or Endeavor or Deku. I mean, certainly Deku because he was really close to them and they just hit him when he landed. And they could have eventually been stopped. Like I could see Lemillion like rallying and Todoroki like coming out for a couple more blasts and stuff like that. And they could have rallied and maybe at least held off the Nomus for a little bit until the reinforcements arrived. But the Nomus could have been told, like, kill as many as you can and then come back to me, or something like that. And the Nomus, like, probably would have been able to retreat and get away because the remaining heroes were still just too tired to go chase a Nomu and fight it. And they had other priorities, like saving the dying.
How about this as a thought? Like, okay, we know One for All is all about All for One is all for demoralizing people. He likes messing with people's brains. Now, you're right. He could have easily sent a Nomu or 3 to finish off everybody, but including his protege's body being dismantled. Well, not dismantled, but like it's pretty much on the verge of breaking at this point. He probably thought it'd be better off if he left them all demoralized. Saying that. Yeah, you're right. They literally took out a good portion of that. I mean, the heroes didn't win this
Wouldn't it be more demoralizing to finish off Best Jeanist and Endeavor and like two?
Well, Endeavor's already on the ground. Like you can almost call him dead. I know he's not.
Endeavor, like kill Endeavor, kill Best Jeanist, and kill if he wants to mess with Midoriya, I understand, but it would mess with the heroes even more on a morale factor if the number one hero was taken down yet again. And also, if Best Jeanist, who's going to come back and redeem Hawk, you know what I mean? As soon as Best Jeanist can talk, he can say, "Hey, I'm back. Hawk's never killed me," like that guy on the news show said. You know what I mean? If they killed Best Jeanist there, like the best they could do is produce a corpse, and nobody would be able to say that Hawks didn't kill him. You know what I mean? Except he's the only one that would be able to actually say that. And there's not really witnesses left, you know what I mean, to talk about it. So kill Best Jeanist, and then you've killed one of the top heroes, and you've crippled the morale of the image of the number 2 hero. Kill Endeavor to show that yet again the number 1 hero has been wiped out. The new number 1 hero, Hawks, is completely soiled and would probably have to step down. That sounds like fantastic morale ruination, and that's definitely worth a Nomu if I was him. It doesn't make sense.
I'm pretty sure I think this makes sense because I mean honestly, even if you do, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. You're also risking a Nomu because
so what, you kill Jeanist, you kill Endeavor or die trying in both cases, And I have 9 Nomus left. We can always make more. And I'm gonna go lick my wounds, but like at least even one of those two going down is like a big deal. You know what I mean? Because like either you're if it's Endeavor, then then the number one hero is Hawks, who's like way up in the air right now. If it's Genus, then Hawks is like sunk because he wouldn't have anyone to testify for
I
him.
think Dobby's already claimed that he wants Endeavor. I mean, I don't think like All for One has even any interest in Endeavor at all. I don't think he's even mentioned any interest in him. Dobby's the one that wants him.
Kicking the crap out of the number one hero and having a completely ruined number two hero. And the bunny like warrior one was like number 5 or something like that. I don't know who's number 3 or 4 off the top of my head.
Best Genus is 3.
What?
Best Genus is 3.
Okay, so you kill 1 and 3, and the one that becomes 1 has a completely soiled reputation. I think the rabbit one was 5, and I don't know who the number 4 hero is.
That ninja dude who's able to like turn into a string, I think.
Oh, so that's now the number 2 hero. Forget his name, but yeah, I know who you mean. Tommy Woods, I think is his name.
No,
that doesn't. Best Genus, and then Edshot was 4, and I think Edshot is dead now. And then Miraco was 5, and Tommy Woods was 7. Crust was 6. I think Crust is dead, right?
Yeah, Crust is dead.
Crust is dead, which was the shield hero guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wash, whoever the heck Wash is Wash is the oh god, he's the one that looks like a washing machine. Is number 8. Dragon Hero Ryuku is number 10, and she's very beat up right now. And then who is equipped hero Yuri Musha? Here, equipped hero Yuri Musha, I don't believe we've seen, or we haven't seen for more than a moment, because I don't remember this. Do you? This guy?
I feel like he was in the raid of the hospital, I think. He might be dead.
Well, if that's like number 9, he's dead or hospitalized. So they've decimated or decredited or badly wounded all of the top 10 heroes at that point, except maybe Wash. And having Wash like up as like the number 2 hero would be really sad.
I mean, you say all this, but in the preview of the next episode, they actually expressly said that the people's like view of heroes has been already damaged. What he did here, I feel like there's already enough. It was enough. I think Endeavor. I think.
But it would be so little. The big picture, losing 2 Nomus for that would be so little for such a devastating blow.
Yeah, but even that, do you think All for One is really? He's here to get his little brother. That is all he cares about. Regardless, the minions that he has, Shigaraki, they're the ones that care about the demoralization of heroes.
He left his little brother laying there. He didn't get him either.
He couldn't because he really fought back, and his little host that he needs, the host that he needs to be able to get it, he is not even he's not even like active right now. And Deku literally went after him too. So like the argument can definitely be why didn't he just grab him there and take him with him? There's probably some ultimate real goal here. I mean, if Deku disappeared, everybody would be looking out for him. With everything
that he could have done, doing nothing seems like one of the worst options.
The heroes have completely been already decimated. I think that'd just be insult to injury. Yeah, he could have done it, but I don't think. Like his ultimate goal is to get his power back. They're a little
closer to level than you think they are, though. They took out tons of villains, like during this battle. Tons of them, especially a lot of them.
He doesn't care about that. Again, I mean, yeah, I know, like leaving Deku there, the goal of all that, he's still there, was like he's already kind of demoralized Deku as it is, and we don't know what Deku's gonna do. Based on everything that's happened there, Deku feels very responsible. Well, not very responsible. He feels like they failed. He was trying to do his best. This entire fight, he's been trying to get his body to move, and hasn't been able to move.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's done enough damage, both psychologically and physically at this point. I don't think he's all that concerned.
Why not do that little bit extra that would really wipe it out? When Endeavor gets back up from this, he's going to be more of a symbol than he was. Even though they lost, like, they're going to be like, Endeavor made it. You know what I mean? He did so much and blah, blah, blah. And Kami
yeah,
Woods,
but you also got to keep in mind, Dabi already kind of outed his entire family history.
I mean, maybe he's keeping Endeavor there to keep Dabi motivated to do evil. I mean, I could see that. I still think Genis going down would be smart.
All really Genis there did was just to keep people anchored. I mean, he didn't...
Genis going down would finish off Hawks. Because he wouldn't have anyone to testify for him that was credible at the time. And leaving Genis creates turns him into kind of a legend, because he comes out of nowhere and helps save the day, and saves all his brothers and stuff like that. The heroes are pulled together as a unit a little bit because Genis came and saved, put his all into it, inspired everybody, and blah, blah, blah. And, I don't know.
I think ultimately he was there to grab. I think honestly, regardless of everything I just said, which is going to be an argument, I think honestly he was just there to get Shigaraki out of there. I don't think he cared about anything else. Because he made it pretty clear that he was going to abandon everybody who was already down there. Because all of everyone already abandoned Compressed down there. He was pretty much telling Spinner that it's all right calling him by his real name.
His scientist. Why didn't he grab his scientist?
Yeah, scientists somewhere. I mean, the Nomus were all running towards him. It's possible that one of the Nomus grabbed him. Who knows where the heck? Because I mean, we see President Mike, and he's running, and the guy is nowhere to be seen. The scientist that
President Mike could have put up a pretty good fight. I could see. Again, I understand why he's leaving. There's reinforcements. Froppy Uraraka and President Mike. I know it sounds silly because I know I'm Froppy pilled. But those three coming in would be very problematic for what's left of this guy. So I understand, if one of them got through and got a good shot on him, maybe that's it. Maybe he's down to one hit point. You know what I mean? So I understand, even Froppy Uraraka and President Mike would be enough to possibly turn the tides here. So I understand running. I just don't understand bringing every single Nomu and having nothing to do when everything is on the table for you. It just doesn't make sense.
The heroes also got to heal too. I mean, honestly, it's like a stalemate at this point.
The numbers look like they were just fine.
I'm just talking about everybody that's important to All for One, which everybody is only Shigaraki. His masterpiece is right now.
But he's a big picture guy, and in the big picture, you've got to.
I'm pretty sure Shigaraki is included in that big picture.
I know. I'm saying Shigaraki's in that big picture, but in the big picture, breaking the rest of his enemies is a pretty great thing too, right?
I don't think he wants to do that, though. He doesn't seem like the type of person that will want to, as I'm going to call what you're saying, is the easy way out. Because, I say this because he injured All Might pretty badly from the very beginning of the show. That tells me that he could have probably finished him at some point, but he let him go. I feel like him letting people go is just to say, I can kill you anytime I want, or I can do this to you anytime I want. I don't think, as powerful as All for One is, he's shown that, he has ideas, he knows what he's doing. If he does something, he's doing it for a reason. Mm-hmm. If you don't understand it, there is something going on that's that's why I'm sitting here saying that, honestly speaking, I don't think he was caring about anything else. He already showed that he can keep the people at bay with the sound waves. He already shown that with Lemillion. No matter how unscathed or how useful you are, if he's able to keep you away, with a shield of sound, whatever he's doing, whatever that was, he was pretty confident at getting away. Could he have sent a Nomu or two in there to do that? Yes, but I don't think that's why he showed up. I don't think he was there
There's
to help finish something. He was trying to get people out.
there's an argument to be made that once he heals and he's back up to 100%, like nobody left is important. But if Shigaraki can get back even to his current 100%, never mind like his planned 100%, even if he gets back to his current 100%, the devastation he's capable of, I think he would be unstoppable enough that nobody left would really be much of a threat.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense why he left Compressed behind.
With the experience of the All for One character, like running the show instead of Shigaraki, I think even more. Because once like Shigaraki was down and like All for One takes over, and All for One is even in that abused situation is like still powerful enough to make an easy getaway where Shigaraki hadn't been able to. So I think like if you think of it that way, then like All for One running that body instead of Shigaraki and having the power be full would possibly make him, if you consider duplifiers, like if Shigaraki in a disoriented state, still realizing his powers and completely unpracticed, being attacked by heroes from the very beginning and having no idea what's going on, compared to a full Shigaraki, if we can say a full Shigaraki would possibly be, without being surprised, like the advantage of surprise on top of that, could possibly be twice as effective. And All for One being stacked on top of that would double it again, then you could say it's like 4 times better than the Shigaraki we saw. That's, I think, feasible, that he's twice as good as All for One, and he's twice as good as fresh, not flat-footed Shigaraki, that where everybody's like attacking him from the second he wakes up.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say I don't think, I mean, I'm just you to say it confuses you that he literally let everybody go. It's like, I feel like it's all like I agree with the whole, I guess backing up, I agree with the whole, like having a powerful, having a fully rested Shigaraki is, dangerous. I was saying like, his actions here, I don't think, like, cause I'm telling you right now, if he wanted them dead, I think he would have killed them all. He wouldn't have like batted an eye, regardless of like Shigaraki's condition of his body.
Mm-hmm.
Because like him doing that, a lot of villains who have that ability just to wipe things out, stab their finger or blink their eye, what's the most powerful thing they can do? Nothing. Because that leaves the person or leaves the group wondering, why didn't they kill me? Mind games.
Well, Deku is only going to get much more powerful from here.
Yeah, he was after him. I mean, he couldn't get him. I still don't get what happened there. Apparently, I'm guessing the whole idea of cells having memory is probably playing into that. So like, it's probably possible that there's just the will of the cells inside the quirk. If you want to think about the quirk as like an organ. Yeah, and it's probably, I mean, like I said before, like a powerful Shigaraki. Eventually, Deku's gonna get to that level of power anyway. Eventually. And like, I mean, like at that point, it's like maybe he's just saying, I'm gonna wait for the power to manifest and truly mature, and then I'll take it. Maybe All for One has an idea about why he couldn't take it to begin with.
Maybe. I mean, he's doing that with Shigaraki. If he sees people as like pawns to steal the power for his own, like I guess you could see that as like, let's leave Deku in the wild to finish maturing. Because he does say something along the lines of like, goodbye, worthless Deku. Let's see when you're back on your, back to 100% or something. So I
was gonna say, I mean, I don't think, I mean, yeah, he could wipe out like anybody he wanted to. He decided not to.
Yeah, he could be sort of like anti-apprenticing Deku right now, and like trying to get him to get to his best. You're right. That's a really insightful point, because he can't get the full power from him right now. That's a really good point.
I'm just talking about like in general, like why he didn't do what you thought he should have done, which is like more heroes. That it's the whole idea is like, if I can do whatever I want, I can kill you when I want, whenever I want. I mean, I don't think Shigaraki's body was a real limiter there, because I mean, even though Shigaraki's body, as you can hear it, was crunching, he was still using quirks that were stored up in his body. Like, I think it was more of like a mind game. It was like, I can destroy you all at once if I wanted to, with just a bat of a hand, because I have that power. But I'm leaving you here. I'm leaving you here to contemplate and steal your own juices, wondering why I didn't. That's gonna be one of the few things people are wondering. And Daryl's gonna be wondering, why didn't he finish me off? Hawks is gonna be wondering what happened, why am I still alive? There's gonna be a lot of heroes questioning what's going on, and then the people that watch this entire thing play out are wondering, are we safe? Because we've already seen the faith of the people can be swayed really easily. We've seen that on multiple occasions. It's a part of the world that we see they're living in. People don't, their faith in heroes isn't all that strong. You know, they can like either be swayed to be afraid or swayed to be to be happy. Their emotions aren't like they're like a switch. So like having Endeavor beat down to the ground and knocked out and bloody would be a better statement than just straight up killing him. Because now Endeavor's got issues he's got to deal with in his own brain about if he's capable of taking him on. So there's a lot of ways that a villain doesn't necessarily have to do a lot of physical damage. They can do a lot of mental damage just by doing absolutely nothing. Or in this case, leaving his enemies on the ground on the ground in a bloody pulp. I think a statement can be made that's why he did what he did. Is it a strong statement to make? No, not really, but it's one of the ones because he is a mastermind in the background. He's been slowly toying with Shigaraki this entire show, even while in jail, which is creepy.
Yeah.
I
think
agree.
if you look at him as somebody, yeah, I do agree that you've brought some really good insights to this. I think that the idea of looking at, from All For One's perspective, there are 4 characters that are relevant: him, All Might, Deku, and Shigaraki. If you look at it from that perspective, then it's actually really smart because All For One apparently gave himself up to wipe out, to permanently knock All Might pretty much out of the picture for the good, in the long term, and took one of his ancestors, like one of his relatives, basically, not one of his relatives, but a relative of the former One for All, and hijacked it. So he's sort of hijacking good genes from the One for All legacy. And in his mind, he got put in jail, but he's not really in jail because his will is being imposed on Shigaraki, and he's probably riding on the bet that he's going to be able to take over and come back in that new body when his old body was destroyed anyway. So he's thinking, in the big picture here, I'm taking that body, I'm getting it back. So in that case, if he's playing this gambit and he only considers 4 people important, 2 of them are out of the picture, and there's 2.5 left if you count Shigaraki and All For One as like sort of a 1.5, then it makes sense that the only direct way to go up from there is to get Deku and Shigaraki to full power and then steal Deku's powers, which is the kind of gambit that somebody like him would be willing to take. So it's really actually makes a lot more sense now that you talked it out with me. Because in his perspective, like, nobody else matters, because when he reaches his peak, nobody's going to matter at all, and he's working from the perspective that no one's ever going to matter.
It basically all I was saying, like, I mean, like, these people are like little ants to him anyway. I mean, like, they don't like like Deku only matters right now because he has his little brother's quirk within him. And apparently, one of the things that keeps him being spotted is that the only thing that never went his way was One for All, which is intriguing. Think words to have said to Shigaraki.
Okay.
Yeah, could he have done it? No, I think honestly, it's more impactful to leave everybody down there wondering why he didn't kill him. Because even with them not knowing that it was One for All in that body, Shigaraki already displayed world-ending powers as it is.
Yeah, and everybody is in a lot of trouble with the public image at that point too. Like, hey, hey, heroes, about that entire like quadrant of the continent that got destroyed. Can we talk?
So, I guess we would not be talking about Dragon Prince right now because we have like almost
Well,
20
can
minutes to.
we, given that we have only a few minutes left, what happens next? We have most of the top heroes in the hospital, and most of the notable heroes, like most of the up and coming heroes too, are or underrated heroes, like Fat Gum, for example, who's probably better than his ranking. When the underrated heroes, meaning like, or the up and comings, meaning like the stars in the academia right now and stuff like that. Most of the heroes worth speaking of are out. President Mike is up. The president of whatever the mouse's name is could be a player if he wanted to be, and seems to have very little interest in saving humanity based on his backstory. If he had wanted to be and he wasn't such a neutral character, he probably could provide some strategy that would be helpful. But that is kind of the only powerful hero that I can think of that's left. Of the up and comings, like we have Uraraka, Undamaged, and Froppy, and maybe a handful of the others. Like I don't think Your Phone Jack, for example, is out. But there's not much left, and there's not much. There's probably more left of the villains at this point. But what do they do? Like, what's next? And you see the useless, like untouched but useless generals and military figures watching on solemnly, who were irrelevant once once things really got rolling, because like they cut off them by just turning off their screens. So what do we have now? Like, what do they have to work with? Like, what's left? Like, where do they go from here? What do you do at that point after everybody's in the hospital that can go to the hospital?
Let me paint you a picture. Well, not paint you a picture. I was gonna say what I'm gonna say. Okay. We skip probably a year, not a year. Shoot, 3 months probably. I guess would that be a
The
lot?
university can't even. There's not even enough teachers left to teach the kids anymore, is there?
Probably. I mean, like, I mean, they'll probably just call some teachers in or have teachers double
I
book.
think like the whale hero, the killer whale guy, is probably okay, and like the spacesuit guy might be okay, but like most of the President Mike is okay, but like most of them, the teachers, like the most competent trained teachers, aren't even there in the academia anymore.
Let's see. I mean, I was like, I guess this is. I'm gonna say. Here's a theory I have for Deku. Okay, you've seen Deku this entirety of this war. Well, not war. Confrontation with the villains. He has been beat down and kept down actually frequently throughout this entirety of this fight. They've already, some of the heroes already know that Deku was apparently one of like the targets of this entire thing. He was definitely one of the targets.
Yeah.
Deku, being the good guy that he is, probably realizes that they're going to come after him again, and it's going to be a little bit harder to defend him. Possibly, Deku decides to go rogue and essentially do his own thing for a little bit. It's possible that maybe that could have happened because I feel like something that he would probably do
Is this something that you
to
know?
protect
Is this
people
something
from.
you know and you're hinting to avoid spoilers, or is this an actual possibility?
This is a possibility because Deku, we've already been shown through Kachan, actually, ironically, that Deku is severely selfless, and it's actually kind of a problem. And I feel like Deku leaving would probably be him trying to be extremely selfless, because he is kind of a target now. I mean, people already know that Shigaraki goes after him. They saw him beeline for him. He let Endeavor know, and if they don't know, Endeavor will probably let the world, well, not let the world, but probably let some important people at the school know that like that's actually what happened, because he did definitely say that we're gonna have to talk about this later. Later is unfortunately now, but like Deku being who he is, it's possible that he says, okay, if I'm the target, I gotta get away from these people so that they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
And I gotta
It doesn't look like The preview does not look 3 months in the future. It looks like all.
Yeah, no, I mean that's that. I mean, I'm just talking about in the future in terms of like not what's happening there. I don't know what's gonna happen. All I can really tell you is I think they're gonna be.
Yeah, it doesn't look like any new.
I think they're gonna like just be in the hospital for a little bit. I feel like next episode is gonna be a filler. Well, not filler, but like it's not gonna really matter in terms of like story.
It's exposition. The next episode is gonna be exposition.
Yeah, that. I mean, I don't think it's gonna really be much of anything. We're just gonna see the aftermath. I mean, we already know that one of the lines is, the people's faith in the heroes has been shaken again. Which, by the way, up to this point, people's faith in heroes is already shaken. This is just gonna completely demolish that pillar, whatever that pillar was made out of before this instance.
Mm-hmm.
Endeavor, regardless of what people know about Endeavor's past now, like the number one hero thing is gonna be like, he's been totally taken out. The only other person that could have probably saved them was All Might, and he's already retired.
Yeah, Endeavor wasn't a slouch, but I think 3 Endeavors still wouldn't have been enough for this situation.
We're gonna see the aftermath of this world, but we're probably also gonna get a hint of what Deku's next step is gonna be. Probably at some point. When if you're right, that Erie's gonna be reminding him. I never even thought about it, but it's like right now, Deku's limbs and everything have been completely destroyed. They're gonna have to do something to help him move forward, literally. And I don't think he's gonna be able to heal that off. So it's like, it probably makes sense for Erie to rewind it. Unfortunately, I don't know, like this Deku's gonna have to probably learn how to not break his limbs in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like now this is the point where he's gonna have to start learning how to not break his limbs.
Well, I think all that's left now is his mouth, because his legs and arms are gone. So he's just going to start fighting exclusively out of his mouth. And Frappy's going to be his mentor, and that's why he's going to end up becoming the world's greatest hero. Because Frappy will be.
Okay, I'm getting signs that apparently to end the podcast here. We intended to talk about Dragon Prince. I guess we'll save that for next week. My Hero Academia happened. So, I guess we'll talk about 3 episodes next week? No, we'll stick with 2. Episodes 5 and 6 will be for sure the next topic that we will talk about next week. If we want to and if we can squeeze 7, we probably will try, but no promises. So with that, I hope everybody listening to this had a good Christmas, and we'll have a great New Year, because next time you hear from us it'll be the year 2023. This year went by real quick, quicker than I expected.
Yeah, so, way too fast. It was a good year though.
Yeah, it was. The ending year was a lot better for me than the beginning. Some of you already know that. But happy holidays and happy New Year's as well. Talk to you guys later.